Hi, this is Michael Cohen. I'm an estate planning attorney and elder law attorney here in Dallas. I'm joined by my good friend and uh, cohort for many years on radio, Don Crawford Jr., who has always been asking me questions when we did our radio show together. So we're continuing this format in the form of a podcast and YouTube. Today's question or today's topic is on Pete Rose. For those who don't follow baseball, Pete Rose was the leading hitter of all time. Unfortunately, he had gambled and was, um, quite frankly, not eligible for the Hall of Fame until after his death. He died last year, I believe, but this year, it was within the last year. This year, they, after he died, they said, well, now he is eligible for the Hall of Fame. Now, Pete Rose, when he died, uh, he was not married. He had two children from his first wife. He had two children from his second wife, and he had one child that was not born of a marriage. Um, and his estate planning, quite frankly, struck out because, uh, well, he had no will. He had no will. Now, the only thing he did have was he had an agreement on licensing and for his name, image, and likeness with a guy named McGuire. And it wasn't Jerry Maguire. For those who remember it's John McGuire. So maybe they're related, but for those who remember the movie Jerry Maguire. Uh, anyway, McGuire had this agreement. He says, okay, I'm going to get 5% of the expenses and 5% as a commission. And then uh, two out of the five children, the two sons, would get, well, there was actually an amendment where his longtime assistant named Don, they would each get an equal share of the net profits from the licensing agreement. Well, what happened? The daughter from the first marriage, Fawn, uh, this was in Nevada where Pete Rose lived. I know there's no gambling there, but let's assume that there is. But in any event, it was no place like home. Uh, she applied to be the administrator of the estate. Now, she didn't live in Nevada, so you had to have somebody, apparently under Nevada laws, you had to have somebody in Nevada also. So she was originally appointed as co-administrator of the estate of her dad. When you don't have a will, you have what's called administration, and you have to determine who the heirs are. So she was appointed with a Nevada resident as co-administrator. Well, one of the sons named Tyler, the other son was Pete Rose Jr. Tyler complained and said, no, I know more about the estate than my sister, a half sibling. And quite frankly, he said that Dad made arrangements where it's just me and my brother, Pete Rose Jr., would get the estate. Now, one of the problems, and so he thought he should be the administrator of the estate. Fawn countered and said, well, gee, you've taken things that belong to the estate. You shouldn't be getting anything if you're taking stuff. What kind of fiduciary are you? Well, he returned some of the things that he took. And another problem, or probably the biggest issue, is who would have this licensing right? His estate wasn't that large, but if he becomes eligible for the Hall of Fame, the value of his estate grows much, probably significantly more, maybe exponentially greater. Because, we've had shows, remember on the Charles Manson and how they were fighting over the murderabilia. Well, people like things that are, well, maybe things that we'd say, oh, gee, oh, that maybe somebody did something wrong. In this case, he had gambled on baseball, and so he was ineligible for the Hall of Fame, but now he's eligible. Will they remember him now and vote him into the Hall of Fame because of his, statistics of being the leading hitter of all time? Um, I should mention that on this licensing agreement, so is a licensing agreement part of an estate? The John McGuire, the agent, says no, that's just a contract. Of course, the administrators would say no, it's part of the estate because this is going to be the largest thing of value. So now they're fighting over that. Another issue is on when they did the amendment to the licensing agreement, they added the longtime assistant, Dawn. Well, she also signed as a witness. Can you sign as a witness in which you are a beneficiary? If you have a will, at least in Texas, if you have a will, then, then it's possible that you could get disinherited unless all the other beneficiaries agree. So you have the issue about was it valid, at least as to Don? Is it part of the probate estate? Who should be in charge? All the different issues. Should the estate be frozen? Should there be, you know, and again, this is kind of we've talked in recent shows. We talked about Rupert Murdoch and I think our show that we did last week. And the question is, who would be in charge of Fox News and News Corp? Control. It uh, kind of reminds me of Shakespeare and who's in charge, and they killed each other just to be in charge of. I want to be king, and tu brute. Anyway, the bottom line is who's going to be in charge and what's the largest asset, and was there anything done that was incorrect? This is why at least Pete Rose should have had a will. When you don't, you leave it up to the courts to determine. It's easy enough to do a will or a trust.
Something. I went to Las Vegas a while back and I saw Pete Rose in a memorabilia store on the Las Vegas Strip, I think it's called, signing baseballs. I'll never forget it. I'm thinking, and this was long after he's retired and been banned from all of baseball for gambling and all of that. And I was thinking as you were talking today, is even that pursuable now? He signed the baseballs and got paid for it. What about the money? Where did the money go? Is it in his bank account? Are the baseballs? They're probably the owners or the people who had the baseball signed and paid for them. I don't think Pete Rose Jr. can go after the baseballs, but maybe the money that the proceeds created, the baseballs created.
Yeah, you would think he put it, but who knows? Was he paid in cash? Who knows? Where did that money go? Um, of course, I should mention, not that I'm a memorabilia collector, the more things you sign, the less valuable it becomes, because if it's rare, then it's going to be a lot more, worth a lot more.
Right.
But still, the idea is who knows what. Remember on the one of the problems. Remember on O.J. Simpson. Remember it wasn't necessarily the murders, but the reason why he went to jail was somebody had his collectibles of some sort, and he broke in and stole his stuff back.
Like the Heisman Trophy. Did he win the Heisman Trophy?
Yeah, he
Yes.
did. Well, he did win the Heisman Trophy. That's right. You should know as a going to USC that he did win. There's not too many, by the way, of your other alum. I don't know of any Heisman Trophy winners at Rutgers. Uh, USC, they did have a few, but a lot of them actually, quite
Rutgers
frankly.
was undergraduate. USC was graduate school. In case anybody's confused.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right.
Well, we'll clarify you for the record so that your name won't be tarnished too much.
Right.
So, in any event, Pete Rose, what should he have done? Just some, at least simple estate planning documents, a will, a trust, you know, who's in charge. Maybe he did do the name, image, and likeness. We've talked about that in many shows about celebrities. The name, image, and likeness may be more valuable than his estate. And in his case, that definitely would be the situation.
I think we talked about that with Prince too. Didn't Prince also not have an estate?
Well, he had a large estate. The problem was he didn't have a will either, is right. And so um, the state of Minnesota and the United States thank him for all the extra taxes that he had for failure to plan.
Right. Well, good.
I would
Well,
personally send him a thank you note to help reduce the deficit.
yes, exactly. Yeah, Prince paid his dues, no doubt about that, while he was alive and after he passed, unfortunately. But this is many layered, it's multi-layered, and it's complicated. And you have many questions. I certainly do as a result of this podcast and others. And the best way to do it is to attend Michael's next workshop to get them answered. And that's what you should do. You sign up for the one in December. If you hear this podcast in time, and it's early December, Mike, is the next one.
Yeah, it's early. Usually the first Saturday in December is when we would be doing it. Whatever date that is, I don't know if it's December 6th or whatever date that is, but that's what the plan is at this time.
Okay. Well, good. Well, you should sign up for that. And you can go to Dell. It's free. It's in person. It's not digital or a podcast like this or webinar, I think they call it. It's live. It's interactive. It's face to face, and you get coffee and donuts and all this stuff. And Mike's been doing them for many years, if not decades, and they're very rewarding, and you'll never regret going.
Well, I appreciate it. And by the way, just even if you can't make the December 6th workshop, it's every month. So if you are interested in going to the free 2-hour estate planning essentials workshop, all you have to do is call 214-720-0102. That's 214-720-0102, or sign up online at dallaselderlawyer.com. Also, if you like these podcasts, just let us know because I want to know, make sure that the type of things that people want to know about. So this was a lot of times people want to know about celebrities. Many people know who Pete Rose is. Others, well, we have other celebrities that we often talk about who
But
often
the thing
sometimes
is,
good, sometimes bad.
yeah, but the tenets that you create, you present to people are so critical. Things that people have to remember are so valuable, whether it's Pete Rose and they know him or not. And that's the whole point of these podcasts and why they're free and why they're very educational and insightful.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, because remember, one of the more popular podcasts was on Jimmy Buffett wasting away in Margaritaville because they didn't have anything about how one of the fiduciaries could be removed. So, I mean, it could be on anything, whether it's having a will, having a trust, who's in charge. It could be any number of things, and we just never know what the questions are at each workshop, and that's why we ask at the beginning, what would you like to know? And every workshop, and we've been doing them for many years now, have been different. So I hope you'll join us, and I just either call that 214-720-0102 number or sign up online at dallaselderlawyer.com.
Michael Cohen, I thank you, sir.
Thank you.